Hey gang, Ross Brand here for the Brand Stack Podcast. I'm thrilled that on today's episode, I get to bring you a conversation I had with the author of a great new book called Down to Earth, Demystify Intuition to Upgrade Your Life. The author's name is Nil Demircubuk. She's got a fantastic and fascinating background that we're going to get into, as well as learning the scientific and practical side of intuition and how intuition is something that you can actually apply right away in your life to improve decision-making, relationships, and a whole lot more. So join me as I sit down with Nil Demircubuk to talk about her brand new book, Down to Earth, Demystify Intuition to Upgrade Your Life. It's a great book. I've been reading it this weekend, and I have learned more about intuition than I thought was possible for someone new to the subject to grasp. And so Nil, the author, is here with me. And Nil, just tell us a little bit about why you decided to write the book and what people who may be new or have a little bit of experience might gain from reading your book.
I wrote the book because I've been convinced so much by my own experiences, by what I've seen from my clients and students, that intuition is something, an ability that we all have, everybody has, and it can, for sure, it can enrich your life, it can improve your life in many ways, it can improve your decisions. It's all about learning how to tap into it when you want to or need to, because many people who come to me are coming saying, my intuition's there, but it just shows up. So how do I do it? How do I kind of dial the intuition number so it answers me? So it's about learning that, practicing, learning that, getting comfortable with it, and also about always combining it with logic. So taking what your intuition says, taking what your logic says, and if it's a big decision, even going beyond that, looking at research, looking at expert opinions, talking to trusted friends, and all of it, and combining all factors, all input to make a decision or to before you take an action.
Okay, I've learned a lot about your background. You were an engineering student out of high school into college. You were an engineering student. You also have a PhD in mathematics, or
Economics.
a PhD. No, economics.
Yeah, economics.
Okay. Then you worked
There's
in.
a lot of mathematics in
Yeah.
it. So.
Yeah. And then you worked in financial services running the data team.
Financial technology.
So very analytical and science-based and practical seems to be your background. So how did you get interested in or get started with a topic like intuition?
Great question. First of all, intuition for me is another scientific thing. So even how I'm approaching intuition from the days when I was getting into really researching it and trying to find really good teachers I could study with, I started reading all the white papers. What's science saying? What's psychology saying? What's cognitive science saying? What's neuroscience saying? So for me, I'm scientifically curious about intuition more than anything. But it's also life experiences. I had a period in my life when I had to really slow everything down, going fast-paced, study. And at some point during my PhD program, I had to really slow down after really severe head injury in a multi-vehicle car crash. And after that, I started having episodes of basically going blank in a way, kind of like petit mal seizure type episodes where I would start shaking and not pass out, but get into this amazingly calm space. And after that, when the whole storm of the shaking and everything stopped, after that, I would be in this stillness of emotion, stillness of mind. I wouldn't be thinking about anything consciously, but ideas would come up. Even solutions to a problem I thought about 3 days ago would come up. it just, and I started sensing things, being able to read people more accurately than I did before. And all of this was also reminding me of this is how I was when I was a little child. I was very much in touch with my intuition. Then, throughout studying, oh, you're good in math, you gotta be an engineer and all of that, I kind of forgot about that part of me. So I wanted to get back in touch with it again. That's why I also brought in the scientific curiosity into it. And as I was learning, it got so exciting. Like, this is helping me so much. This is helping me, even helping my friends when they come to me for insights. So why don't I study it more? Then at some point, okay, why don't I start doing some intuitive consultation for people? And then at some point saying, I don't want anyone to be dependent on me. I want them to be able to do this on their own, because they can. We all can. You all can. So that's when I decided, okay, I want to reach to more people than my students and clients. So I wanted to write the book based on the curriculum I had built, the exercises I had developed, and all of that.
So, how long does it take somebody who isn't practiced at accessing their intuition to start to actually be able to use their intuition? And what are some things where you'd say that's a good place to start? Use it in this situation or use it this way. Because I know that I was reading a book once, and the book was kind of, self-help kind of book. This is a long time ago, like 30 years ago. And it said something like, close your eyes and picture what you would do if you could do anything you wanted and nothing could stop you or whatever. And I did that, and I pictured something, and I went off and I crazily did it, and it wasn't quite the experience that I hoped it would be. Yeah. So obviously that probably wasn't intuition. I don't know what that was, but point I'm getting at is how can we safely start using it in our lives, and how long does it take for somebody who's not tuned in to be able to start accessing?
I'll give you the number one tip in tapping into your intuition when you want to. Number one tip is what I just described to you in my past experience, in my health history and all that, right, which is in the past. I'm so much better now, thank goodness. But it's that stillness. You need to get to that stillness of your conscious thinking and of your emotions, your whole state of being. And is that something difficult to do? Really, I don't think so. And I've seen many students and clients practice these with me. You're already doing it. People already do things, like someone who's really big on cycling. They go out for cycling, and don't you just lose track of time and space, and just before you know it, you're on top of the mountain looking at this amazing view. That's a great moment to ask your intuition a question, because your conscious thinking just stopped, made space for what's already in your accumulated knowledge and experiences, stored in your unconscious and subconscious mind through a non-conscious process to come up, percolate up. So you just find ways to get into that stillness of mind and emotions and drop a question. That's how you can start. And where would you practice? And over time, as you get used to this, I call that process priming, getting ready for intuition, preparing your mental and emotional state, getting to that stillness. When you practice priming a lot, it gets to be so second nature, you can use it in the grocery store. You can, it's a great practicing ground, right? What could go wrong? I should go to the, I don't know. I mean, what could go wrong? Of course, you need to be careful. Highlight. You need to be careful about your allergies, and don't forget about your conscious mind. Don't put your logic and sense, common sense, other things, knowledge aside. You want to combine the two. So go to some part in the grocery store. I don't know what you're choosing in that moment, but just do a little bit priming. How would you do that? Just focus on your breath for a few seconds. Feel your feet on the ground. Just do this with your hands, something that's really taking you away from being here all the time thinking about this and that, to into your body, and just relax, take a deep breath, and look at what the shelf you're looking at. Okay, which one's drawing me to pick it up? And pick it up and just hold it. How does it feel? Do you want to take this thing home or not?
Right.
Right? So here's a very, very simple practice. Then still, after your intuition said whatever it said, oh, forget about it, pick something else, or, oh, great, let's take this home, still ask your logic as well. Still ask and think about, hold on, is there anything harmful here for me? Read the ingredients. Don't ignore your logic.
Right.
Your intellect. Yeah.
We have a question we had a question. From Adora Lee. Says, is there any moment or situation where we can't trust our intuition?
Yeah, there is. You need to remember, first of all, what I talk about here and what I talk about in my book is everyday intuition. I'm not going into a psychic realm. That's for other people to do. And for everyday intuition, yes, there are situations and times you may not want to rely on your intuition because you may not have enough accumulated knowledge and experiences in that area to be able to rely on your intuition.
So the key is you want to quiet your conscious mind. You want to step away from trying to think through the problem.
Yeah.
And that's how you can access the subconscious.
Yeah, and in cognitive science they call this unconscious work. They also refer to it as incubation period. It's those times when if you're working on a complex problem, the moment you set it aside and you really distract your brain from trying to solve that problem, you go for a walk, you take the dog for a walk, or you paint a painting, or have a cup of tea or something that really takes you away, that's taking a break. But when we're taking that break, our unconscious is actually working. Is going through, sifting through, oh, hold on, we've done something like this before, what's there, something juicy is there, we can pull it out, and boom, yeah, you're walking, and then all of a sudden you have a new idea about how to go about it.
Sometimes I'm walking and I'm working, it's almost like I can hear it working the problem, or it's, my conscious mind is speaking through it, and at some point it just stops. It's like, okay, I've talked through it enough. I can be quiet now. And then after enjoying the silence for a while, something will come to me, that might not have. So it's not, for me, it's not exactly going into complete quiet right away. It's finishing the thought or the idea to where the conscious mind is like, okay, we talked this out. Or whatever.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
it makes perfect sense. It's a very personal thing. So how intuition works, what primes you compared to what primes me or somebody else, it's so different and so unique. So what you described to me, I'm hearing that as what primes you is exhausting your brain.
Yeah.
And coming to that, okay, I'll stop now. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just like sifting through the ideas. Sometimes I'll write the email in my head that I need to write or whatever while I'm walking, and then I can get quiet, and then I can go and actually write it and be like, no, that wasn't the right thing that you said in your head, but this is better.
Yeah, you play with it and you find your sweet spots. Yeah.
So I guess how do we bring intuition into business decisions and things like that, where data has become such a big part now of how decisions are made? It's not 30 years ago where some experienced person sat in the corner office with their feet up and said, my gut instinct tells me we should, open a market in Asia or something like that, and away we go, right? We've got to have data and we've got to run it through models and all that kind of stuff. But yet, there's still a place for an experienced person with intuition to occasionally go against the data or to say, yes, the data's saying this, but I have other thoughts or I have other ways of knowing. So when do we trust the intuition and when do we stick with the data?
Well, that requires a crash course in like risk management,
right,
decision theory, and everything. So I do have clients who have come across those kinds of situations. Should we go into this market or not? And if they have a strong hunch, I mean, some people who are really, really good at what they're doing, such as some business leaders who are known for, okay, they take risks, but when they take risks, oh my God, look at the results. So there you really have to look at what's the cost of being wrong here.
Right.
So
right.
Yes, my intuition is really strongly saying this, but you still need to consider what's the cost of being wrong here. And if it's going to affect many lives, I would still look at data, logic, and all of that, and not just say, I'm just going on a hunch. But I am also not going to stop people who say, I'll take that risk because it's their risk, but not my risk.
Yeah. How do we know when it's intuition speaking up and when it's just fear or excitement or... I've gotten a sense that like working with somebody would not be a good idea, to the point where like until I said no, I couldn't relax. Like my gut was just screaming at me like, do not get involved in this. Now, is that fear of the unknown or fear of a new thing, or is that, my subconscious saying this is not the kind of character that you would work well with, or you don't really feel at a deeper level or something that you could trust this situation. There are times in my life where whatever that is in the gut is very loud. It's not going to let me rest until I do what it wants me to do.
Yeah. And that loudness is a good key, because one of the ways I always say people can test if it's intuition or an impulse, or if it's intuition, wishful thinking, or dreams, or something else, is to, or fear, is to go into that priming and ask again. So you just gave an example of, in that sense, intuition popped up on its own. Mm-hmm. So then intentionally you can do something that primes you, stills the conscious thinking and the emotions, and just tune in for a minute or for a few seconds and ask again, what am I picking up about this? So what I like about how intuition works is it anchors itself. And in the book, I have a chapter on characteristics of intuition. And one of the characteristics is its persistence. It says, I insist, this is how it is, I insist.
Right.
So, when you ask, you cannot really, I also call that shaking the answer. You remember those magic 8 balls? There used to be, a few decades ago, you would shake and it would say yes, no. It gives you an answer. So shaking the answer, and just, okay, something is uncomfortable about this. Let me just still, and then ask again. No,
so intuition is persistent. So that thought when, the red light is sort of flashing and it goes, I'm not going to go off until you exit this situation, or until you convince me that you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Then I'll let you relax. But until then,
and at the same time, it is still your decision,
right,
to say, sorry, intuition, I'm gonna go with logic here because my logic says do it. I mean, that's a very, very personal decision. That's why I never say trust your intuition, go with it, because every single time, every case is different. You need to look at it. You need to look at risks involved, everything.
We're talking with Nil Demircubuk. She is the author of the brand new book, Down to Earth, Demystify Intuition to Upgrade Your Life. Drop today. It's available on Amazon in paperback and in ebook. There's a QR code on the screen if you want to grab your copy. There's so many great examples and lessons and strategies and tactics in the book. Tell us a few easy ones that somebody could start to implement, maybe even tonight or tomorrow. A few of the easiest things that somebody could grasp onto to start to prime their intuition.
Okay. The easiest one, and you said tonight, the easiest one you can do tonight, exactly nighttime one, is come up with a question for your intuition. And here's another intuition tip. Simplify your question, especially in the beginning of your practicing to tap into on demand. Simplify your question for your intuition. So, for example, if you ask your intuition to come up with a business plan for you for a new project or business that you're thinking about, it's a bit too big and too wide. So simplify your question. Ask something such as, what's my next step in my college applications, whatever is on your mind, and write it on a piece of paper or on your notepad. And or if you think you might forget about it, write it on a piece of paper and crumble it and put it where your feet would go in the morning. And go to sleep. Hopefully you get some really nice, sweet sleep. If you don't, then do it the next night. So in the morning, you put your feet on the floor. Oh, question. Capture the first thing. That's another intuition tip. You always, once you prime yourself, sleep is a great way to prime when you're in that, half awake state. Capture the first thing, the first response, because once we miss that, our conscious mind goes in and starts writing stories and scenarios, but then if this and then, creates it into like a movie. You can put it on, one of the many streaming shows.
The next time we talk on camera, we'll have video for people who are going through it. So that's okay. That's it. That's a great one. So everybody can do that before they go to sleep tonight. Okay. What is another way that you could prime your intuition?
Okay, another way I really like, and I don't want people who don't do meditation to be scared by this. I call it meditation. It's really not meditation, that deep meditation. It's some sort of it, but it's kind of imagination. Just find a comfortable place. Find a time when you can take 5 minutes or something like that. Find a comfy, cozy place. Sit there or lie down. Close your eyes if it's comfortable, and just take a few deep breaths. Then imagine going into your happy place. Everybody has this, right? For some of us, it's the beach. For some of us, it's our, mountaintop, wherever it is. Go to your happy place. Alternative to it, if you don't want to pick a place, go to your happy activity. You know how I was saying bicycling for some people, it really does it. Go to your happy place or your happy activity. Then go through your senses, one at a time. Bring all the visual details into that imagination. If you're not a visual person, skip that and go to the sound. Bring the tactile imagination. Just imagine you're really feeling the breeze on your face. You're feeling the temperature. You're just basically immersing yourself into that scene. And also you're priming yourself at the same time. Go through smells, what it would smell like there, all of that. So once you really feel you're in that scene, in that place, you're just calm and happy, and conscious thinking is really slowed down. Then just drop your question into that stillness. If you haven't prepared any question ahead of time, just drop a question that could be beneficial for anyone. I ask, what's a healing or what's a good thing that I can do for myself tomorrow? Something as simple as that.
Right.
And then, when you receive, capture the first thing. Thank yourself for taking this time to do this good thing for yourself. And because doing priming is good for you too. And then just slowly make sure you're feeling where you're sitting, lying down, gently bring yourself to feeling where you are. and open your eyes if they were closed, and note down what your intuition brought out so you don't forget about it. And then you can ask your logic, does this make sense? And you can, if it's a big important thing, you can look at research, expert opinions, and everything else.
You have, I imagine you have clients, people you coach who have health issues and are trying to make decisions about healthcare. Is that a safe assumption?
I do, yeah.
I'm not asking you any specifics, but how can intuition, accessing your intuition, or working with an intuition coach help when you're weighing, this doctor says to do this and that doctor says to do that, and this has a 20% chance of working, and this has 80% chance, but it's got all these side, like there's such an overwhelm of information sometimes, and it's often a very stressful time for people. How could they benefit from accessing their intuition and or working with you or another intuition coach?
Health is just such a tricky place, and it's there are so many, with even science getting better and better and at figuring so many different parts of it, there are still parts of it, for example, in neurology, the brain, we're still learning so much about it. So I would go with science there. I would just go with science. And of course, it's a very personal thing to listen to what your intuition is saying. But in terms of how to decide this treatment, that treatment, this doctor, that doctor, I would refer to science there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might not be the best place to reach into your intuition.
It can be in terms of which doctor should I go to? Because, when I'm picking a doctor, for example, recently I was picking a primary care doctor, and I was looking at the pictures of the doctors that were taking new patients, and I was doing what I know from intuition, and I talk about in the book, nonverbal cues. Looking at a picture, you can pick up a lot about the characteristics, the character traits of the person. So I use my intuition to pick a friendly doctor, someone that I would feel really comfortable with. But I also make sure that person has a really high rating in the data. Yeah.
Right.
So that's one place you can do it. And another place is if you are going to choose from healthy options, if you have 5 healthy options of which meal to eat, but making sure they're all healthy for you, knowing that consciously, to decide which one, okay, you can use your intuition.
Lots of positive feedback coming in. You got a couple of great reviews already on Amazon from readers, and I saw an awesome long review from the Literary Titan Book Awards already posted on your Barnes and Noble and Goodreads. So good things are happening. What else would you like people to know about the practice of intuition, whether it comes to working with somebody, whether it comes to accessing it and doing the exercises on their own, that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
Number one is to not be afraid of it, because tapping into your intuition doesn't mean you'll always listen to or do what it says. So people equate these two so much. Oh, I don't tune into my intuition because what if it says to do something I don't want to do? Don't do it then, right? So tapping into intuition is useful information because you've accumulated all that knowledge and experience. And intuition is your brain's and body's amazing way of going in there and pulling it out for you. And it has value. It does have value. So not being afraid of it, understanding that you can still question it, you can tap into it and still question it. And that doesn't diminish from how active your intuition becomes. Intuition doesn't say, you didn't trust me, I'm not going to talk to you tomorrow. So it's like developing this friendship with your intuition so that you can go to it when you want to and need to, and still put everything together before you make your final decision, and all the other inputs as well.
And you
Logic
believe
too.
that it works hand in hand with logic. In fact, I think you've mentioned a few times run it through logic.
I do,
Can
yeah.
you give an example of how you would actually do that?
Yeah, in the book I give the example of where we live. For example, in this house that we've lived in for many years, when I first came across even this open house, it was everything just came together like, oh, this is magical. Every universe is wanting me to get this house, all of that. And we sometimes get carried away with that too. Then I came in and it felt heavy. Everything was coming together, the offer, everything was working, but something kept tugging at me, this there's something not right, there's something not right. And I knew that was my intuition. But here's another intuition tip: we don't always interpret what our intuition says correctly. That takes practice, a lot of practice. It's an art. And even after a lot of practice, you may sometimes misinterpret it. And another intuition tip: intuition in a yes or no question, intuition doesn't always say yes or no. It may say yes but not now, no but maybe come back to it in 6 months. So many variations. So yeah, I took that heaviness and I didn't just say, okay, I'm just going to trust that and give up on this. I said, okay, I hear you. I hear you. Thank you for your input. But I'm going to set you aside now and do my homework and research some more about this place and about the market in general. And my logic said, go for it. And my husband said, we're going for it. So it's like a combined decision, not mine. And looking back at it now, I know what my intuition was warning me about wasn't, I mean, don't do this. It was, yeah, but you're gonna have to fix this place so much. It's gonna be such a long and arduous process. Are you ready for it? That's what it was, because I was picking up on all the clues about the cracks in the walls and everything, even if not consciously saying, oh, I saw something here, I saw something there. All of it was still, I have all that experience having been in houses before, right? So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's fascinating. You mentioned it's not enough to just get the message. It's how you read it, and people aren't necessarily experienced at reading it. Is that something that somebody else, someone like you, can help people with, or is that something that really has to come from inside?
Both. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It always helps to ask someone or get help from someone who's experienced if you're really unsure and if it's an important thing. Um, but practice, and it gets easier over time.
What's the biggest life change you've seen somebody make? If you can share the story, or you can share it sort of anonymously around the details, that you've ever seen somebody make through accessing their intuition that really wouldn't have been possible if they hadn't started to do that.
Okay, let me think. Oh, I've seen so many, but let me think about that for a second. And I give many examples in the book as well. I guess I've seen it a lot in job search type situations. As people would come to me saying they don't even know what kind of job they want, and they're applying in too many places, but this and that. And yeah, I've seen many times that when they quiet down their mind, conscious thinking mind, and their emotions, and get into that primed state and ask their intuition, something like, what am I missing here? Almost guaranteed they get some new action to take or new direction to look at that takes them to a whole new opportunity. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you've got so many people here on Amazon Live and across the different sites where we are also simulcasting who love the book, love you, some who've worked with you, and it's all just a barrage of positive and loving comments. So everybody's saying congratulations and just very happy for you on the book launch today. The book is called Down to Earth, Demystify Intuition to Upgrade Your Life, and you can get it either by using the QR code on the screen, or if you're on Amazon Live, you can just click the book in the carousel and get more information, or go ahead and get yourself a copy. I could talk to you all day about this topic. I am so fascinated by it. I've jumped around in the book because I just couldn't wait to see certain parts, and then I've gone back and gotten up to date. But we'll let everybody take a look at it, get their copy today. You're already on the hot new release charts in several countries. So I'd love to see you get a bestseller, or whatever it turns out to be. I know the book's going to have great success, and it's going to help a lot of people. So Down to Earth, Demystify Intuition to Upgrade Your Life. I'm Ross Brandon, and it's just been my pleasure to talk with Nil Demircubuk this evening and afternoon and morning, depending on where you are across the world.
Thank you so much, Ross. Thank you for having me here.